Going through grief after a loved one's death is tough, and taking care of their affairs afterwards can add to the stress and heartache. I know, because I just went through my dad's passing. And even though it has been challenging and sad at times, I am grateful for my dad's foresight and planning that has made this time simpler. Not easy, but less complicated. And in this video, I'm going to share 8 conversations and arrangements that we did while my dad had his health that has simplified matters after his death. Welcome to my channel. If you are feeling overwhelmed and tired and would like tips about simple and healthy living, then spend some time with me. I had made a few videos before where I talked about how to help seniors declutter, what to declutter, and tips about how to take care of yourself while being your loved one's caregiver. So check those out if any or all of those topics would help you. I linked them in the description. While I made those videos, my dad was still with us, but in poor health, so we knew it was a matter of time. And even though we knew his death was imminent since he was in hospice care, it was still difficult. At the time I'm making this video, it has been 3 months since he passed away, so that's one reason why I haven't been as consistent in uploading videos as I want to be. Watching your parents or loved ones suffer with health complications is heart-wrenching, so their passing is somewhat of a relief, knowing that they are not suffering anymore, but you miss them. And I'm sure this time of grief would have been more difficult if we did not have the discussions and make the arrangements that I'm about to share with you. So here are 8 conversations and action steps you must take to simplify things for both you and your loved one. Taking care of matters after a loved one passes is not easy, but they can be simplified. So here's my list. First, create a living trust. My husband and I actually got our trust done first and told my parents about it, so they went and had theirs done too. In my parents' trust, my brother and I were successor trustees, which means that after our parents pass away or they become incapacitated, we are responsible for the assets in the trust. So assets can include property and investments. Included in my parents' trust is their will that specifies what happens to their assets, because if this is not determined beforehand, you need to go through probate where the estate gets involved and they decide how the person's assets gets divided. And I hear that is never fun because the state will do it their way and you don't get to determine this for your loved one after they die. Plus it takes a lot of time and money. So having a trust will save you time, money, and simplify decision making for your parents' assets. Second, have an advance directive. Usually trusts contain an advance directive or a living will which specifies your wishes with end-of-life matters if you cannot communicate them anymore, such as whether to be put on life support, what type of life support, pain management, and other medical decisions, and also what to do with your body after you pass away. My parents specified their wishes in their document and when they made funeral arrangements, but I will get to that later. Third, get a power of attorney or a POA. My parents' trusts contain a POA, which is essential. Not all trusts contain a POA, so make sure that you get one whether or not you get a trust and your parents get one, because this will make your life less complicated when helping your loved one when they cannot make decisions anymore. With my parents' POA, my brother and I were able to make decisions on their behalf upon their passing or medical limitations for their financial and health issues. As my dad's health problems started increasing and I needed to make health decisions for him or just ask about his health information, I was constantly asked if I had a POA or health directive on file. Having done this before my parents' health started to decline took that headache away so I could speak and decide for them both. The POA has also allowed us to take care of their financial matters, again, saving us time and aggravation when talking and dealing with their bank and investment institutions. So the first 3 items are important from a legal standpoint, and my parents were very open about them and gave me copies to keep and made me go with them to the lawyer when they were writing and updating these forms. That way I could be a part of the whole process and know their wishes. These documents have been invaluable, and as I'm still working out a few more details on my mom's behalf, I have a copy of these 3 items handy because I know they will be requested. What do you think so far? A lot of tough issues will come up just from creating the legal documents. Things we don't want to talk about with our parents or a loved one, but you must, especially as they are aging. Will this be uncomfortable? Probably. It was for me when my parents involved me in their process, but I'm so glad they did. If I missed something that pertains to legal issues, please let me know in the comments below. I am not a lawyer and I'm not well versed in the details of the forms I just mentioned, so you will want to research these more. Okay, the next 4 items are not necessarily legal matters, but they definitely simplified our lives and saved us some sanity. So number 4, now that your parents or loved ones have created the necessary documents that will simplify legal matters when they pass on, have them show you where these documents and any other important documents will be stored. Other documents include their social security numbers, bank and investment statements, mortgage, birth certificate, passport, insurance policies, and other documents. You will need to access these when the time comes. Next, life insurance, long-term insurance, or funds. So for my parents, they had funds set aside for their long-term care. And when we started to notice a slight decline in my dad's mental clarity and health, we sat down with him and made a list of all his investments and started consolidating accounts so he could manage them easier. This in turn helped us keep track of his finances. The 6th item is related to the 5th one, and that is access to their accounts. My dad gave us his passwords and information that would help us access my parents' funds in the event where we would need to help them take care of any payments for different things such as paying their bills and living expenses. Also passwords to his phone and electronic devices and any other types of accounts. The one thing we did not have but eventually figured out was access to his social media accounts so we could close them. So get those passwords as well. The 7th item, my parents actually did about the same time they had their trust created, and that was their funeral arrangements. I wouldn't have thought of doing this in advance, and I thought my dad was crazy for dragging me to the funeral home to pick out his casket at the age he was at then. I remember him saying, "Hey, let's go spend the afternoon together and go to the mortuary. Then we'll have lunch together." Anyway, I remember feeling like crying at the funeral home and had to excuse myself a couple of times because I wasn't ready to think about my parents dying. I didn't quite appreciate it then, but I couldn't be more thankful for my dad's planning for several reasons. 1, my parents got to pick out exactly what they wanted. They bought some package that included the entire funeral arrangements, including flowers, the guest book, and thank you cards. 2nd, because they chose most everything when we met with the funeral director to discuss the memorial service for my dad, most of the decisions had been made, which was nice because there are a lot of details to decide and we were happy not to decide them. 3rd, the biggest plus of my dad arranging his funeral so far in advance was that he locked in the cost of all these funeral details at least 15 years before he needed them. If we had to pay for the same thing in today's prices, it would have easily happened at least twice the amount. When arranging for my dad's funeral, I looked at the price list for things and said to the person helping us, if someone wasn't sad enough coming in, they certainly are when they leave. Sitting through the sales pitch of funeral arrangements is brutal. And the 8th conversation actually happened long before any of these occurred, and that is writing your loved one's story and collecting photos to highlight their life. I enjoy making scrapbooks and have plans to make one about my parents' history. I haven't done it yet, but what I did do was interview both my parents about their childhood and growing up in Hong Kong and China, and then their journey to America. When I was writing my dad's bio for his obituary and planning my eulogy, I was able to look up some of these details he shared with me and use them in his tribute. So, having all these 8 things in place, my dad had definitely helped us more than we expected. My dad was a planner, and he took his job as a provider for his family seriously. Because of his foresight and planning skills, he saved us from a lot of hassle. What other suggestions do you have to take care of with your loved one to make things easier at the end? Please let us know in the comments below. We can all learn from each other. If this video helped you, please hit the like button and subscribe for future content on simple living for a healthy life. Another thing to do to simplify things for yourself before a loved one passes is to help them declutter their possessions. So if you would like tips about that, watch this video next to find out more. Until next time, remember to stay healthy and live simply.